Hi, good morning, everybody. We are back for day 3. So my daughter is still homesick, so we might have some interruptions, but we're just gonna go ahead and start working on this cute little hippo photo. So I did do a couple of little changes. All I did was I noticed there was like a white line right here. So I took that out and I just brightened the outside a little bit more because I want it to look like that's the main light source is the door here. So I just want to brighten up the ground behind the hippo a little bit. So I'm going to go to our floor and I have this brightness and contrast layer on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint off a little bit of that. So with my black brush, I'm going to put it down to 10%. And we want a very soft brush. And I'm just going to kind of make a couple of lines here to kind of emphasize that our light source is coming from this door. And we could probably just brighten it up even more with another like brightness and contrast layer and then just paint it on if we have to. But I think that's looking pretty good right there. And with the hippo shadow, I might just paint off a little, especially behind it here, but a little bit right there. And is that on, oh, that's just on the background. Okay, I'm just gonna paint off there. And, oh, it's on the hardwood that I kind of want to see if I can get that off there. Where is that? Hippo shadow, here we go. Paint it off a little between his legs here. Okay, and just go to this layer again here. I might just adjust this a little bit. No, that's good right there. Okay. Okay, and with the door light, I'm just gonna add another brightness and contrast layer on there, or maybe actually what I'm gonna do is just make a new layer, I think. Oops. We're just gonna make a new layer and I'm gonna call this brightness layer. And we're gonna put that on overlay, and with a white brush at 10%, I'm going to just paint it a little bit brighter. Coming in through the door here. Oops. And I might just lower it a little as well, but we'll see. Okay, let's just see what we think of that. That looks pretty good. I think I'll leave that. Because it would be pretty bright from, if that's the main light source. On the door, I'm pretty sure I had a highlight layer here. I'm just going to add a little bit more on the door here. And maybe around the frame a bit as well. Okay. All right, let's look at our hippo layer. Where's our hippo? That's that one. Okay, I'm just gonna go back into the brightness and contrast, and I might just bring the brightness down a bit, and maybe bring the contrast up a bit. Okay, and with the door, I think I do want the door and walls a little bit darker as well, just a little bit. Okay. All right, let's start trying to get everything else kind of blended the same here. So let me just group some of these. Control G. We'll call this street background. Hardwood floor. Hardwood floor. And Control G. This is the walls and door. We got cracks, Christmas decor, hippo. We need to put in a big, oh, that's already in a folder. Santa hat, presents. We're gonna make these gifts a little darker as well. Okay, and contrast up a little bit as well. Yeah, right about there. Okay. All right, so presents we'll put in a group. I'm also gonna, on the presents, I also want to do a hue saturation layer, and I'm just gonna bring the saturation down a bit on all of it, and then definitely on the reds. There we go. I just want to mute those a bit. They were super bright. All right, so we'll do that. Baby. All right, so I did put a brightness contrast layer on her, and also I guess a second one. What did I do there? Brightened her up some more. So I just wanted to get this side of her bright, and now I'm gonna bring in a new layer, and we're gonna put this to multiply, and we're gonna call this shadows. And I'm just gonna darken that other side of her just so the lighting matches a bit. So we'll just keep it at 10 for now. And we're just gonna try to darken these highlights up. I feel like maybe I have this too much here. I'm just gonna take this one off of her, and I might just kind of take some of that out there. And I feel like my shadow is looking a little muddy, so I'm just gonna start that over again. And multiply. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make this brush a little harder and smaller, and I'm just gonna kind of build it up more. Just gonna try to get that highlight out of there. Maybe I'm doing that too much. It's not quite looking how I want it to look. Yeah. Try one more time. Put it on multiply, but I'm going to turn my brush down to 5. Okay. So I'll leave it there for now. I'll come back and add more, but now we're gonna do, so it's a shadow. We're gonna add in the highlights now. So this is just gonna be like a base for changing the lighting on her, because it was opposite, but I wanted her to be facing this guy, right? So because otherwise it's not really an interaction between the two. I like to have an interaction between them, like the subjects in my photos. Okay, I'm gonna put a little mask on here and try to get rid of the amount that I put on this little highlight on the back of her arm here. There we go. Oops, I have that brush too strong. Just gonna blend that out. Okay. Okay, so that's a little better. I'm just going to lower the opacity on this one. Okay. So that's kind of helping change the lighting a little bit here. So now I want to do another shadow layer. Put this back to 5. And I'm going to actually select like a dark color on her. Let's see if I can get in closer here. There we go. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. And just kind of try to go around the edge a bit more and create, so this would be more of a shadow this way on her head. Okay. We can go back in here and just kind of brighten up this side of her head a bit. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to shadow 2. darken this highlight on her arm a bit. This arm is looking a little bit muddy. So let's just see if we can maybe just lower the opacity a bit. I might have to do some patchwork there, but we will try to keep going here. This one is like causing me some grief here today. Just causing me a little bit of grief today. Okay, and I'm just going to emphasize some shadow around her nose here, just so that okay, we're going to go back into the highlights and highlight this side of her nose. I'm just going to zoom in so I can see better what I'm doing here. I still gotta kind of fix her selection as well. Okay, with the shadow, I'm gonna turn it down opacity wise again here. Bring this one down. And then on her, I just want to see if I can use the patch tool and kind of blend out, make this arm look more blended and not so, I don't know, it looks like, oh, it's big. Why won't you do that? There we go. I don't know, it just looks kind of patchy. I don't know. Maybe it'd be better to use this tool instead. The quick tool. Gonna try and get some of these weird discolorations out. I don't know if that did anything. Ugh. I'm getting frustrated with this one. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. Maybe, all right, let's, on the presents, I want to put a shadow of the baby. So we're gonna make a new layer and clip it to the presents, multiply, and name this shadow. Okay, and B. Okay, so now I gotta darken under here. All right. Just lower the opacity on that a bit. Okay, so this side of her face is still way too bright, so I'm just gonna try and darken it without like making her look muddy. I don't know. I'm having a lot of trouble with this today. Okay, so that's better. Let's go back to the highlights and try and brighten up this side of her face. I'm going to put this to 10. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom in and I'm gonna try to like just get really close to her, the edge of her, and just darken the edge of her a bit. Okay. So it's not perfect, but it's better. So that's what we started out with. We're trying to make it go the opposite way, you know? So, I mean, it's looking a little bit better, but we'll see what it looks like while I do everything else. I feel like, maybe... brighten her up a little more, like that. Okay. So let's work on the tree. And the presents maybe still need a little more shadow on this side, just like a little bit. So we'll add one more shadow there. Create a clipping mask. Put this on multiply and make my brush larger. Kind of like that. And then let's find our tree. I think that's under Christmas decor. Angel tree. Okay. Over top of this whole layer, I'm going to add, delete. I'm going to add a brightness and contrast, and we'll clip that down. And we'll bring all the brightness down a bit. And then let's add two more layers, and we'll clip them. Oh, whoops. I hit the wrong button. Where was I? Right here. Create clipping mask. This will be shadows. And this is highlights. Okay, and with the tree, just click that. We're just gonna darken, you know, where the presents are kind of sitting and the other side there. And angel would be kind of a little darker on that side. What's going on with the wall there? I've just noticed there's like a little bit of I missed a piece there. And highlights. We're gonna brighten, oh, that's way too much. I forgot to put it on overlay. That's the problem. Okay, there we go. Highlights, we'll kind of brighten this side of her. The shadow, I'm just gonna, on the angel, I think I added a little too much. So I'm just gonna put a layer mask on there and just slightly paint that off. There we go. I'm gonna go in here. Actually, just do this. I'm gonna put this on linear dodge, and I'm going to select like a bright yellowy orange color, like that. And we're gonna add a bit of glow. Around these lights here. And maybe I'll do the same with, like, I think there's lights on this tree. I don't even think there is, but I'm gonna make it look like there is. Just gonna add some lights on it. And then I'm gonna just make this even lighter and smaller. And in the center of the lights I just kind of added, I'm going to brighten them just in the center. Like that. Okay. I want this to glow a little bit more. Let's go back to that darker orange color. Okay, and then with this color on the highlight layer, I'm just gonna kind of like add some of that color tinge to her face. Or maybe we'll even just add it on there like this. Actually, let's take a step back here. Let's go back to my history. Just wanna I'm gonna put this to like a 2 and add it on here. All right. I'm just gonna try something here on the baby. We're gonna add one more highlight layer, but I'm actually gonna put this on linear dodge. And just see if we can get those highlights a little bit more emphasized. And I'm just gonna do this at 2, just to see if I can get, because it doesn't really seem to be doing too much on the other layer. Okay, I'm just gonna take a couple steps back here. It's a little too bright on her eye there. So go back and make my brush smaller. Okay, that maybe worked a little bit. Let's go back to our burn brush. I'm just kind of trying to build it up here. I don't even think I did a color one on her yet. Maybe that will help too. Okay. All right, let's do a color balance on her. Oops. Clipping mask. My goodness. I don't know if you can hear him, but I'm house sitting. I am dog sitting for my brother-in-law, and he's a half Mastiff and half Great Dane. So he's huge, and he's got this crazy deep bark. He's super intimidating looking, but he's like the biggest teddy bear in the whole world. He's so sweet. So I've got 4 dogs in the house right now. It's kind of wild. 4 dogs and a sick kid. But we are surviving. All right, so the last thing I really have to adjust is that is the other Christmas decoration. Let me just have a little look here. Christmas decor. The wreath here. So I'm gonna do its own. Actually, I don't need to do that. I will just do this on this shadow and highlights. This highlights I'm gonna make white, and we're going to bring some highlights in. Oops, I'm using the shadow layer. So let's go back and get rid of those brush marks. Christmas decor highlights layer. There we go. And we're just gonna paint on some highlights from the door on the wreath here. And also some shadows. I'm gonna put this back to 5. The darker to be on this side. Okay, and highlights. I'll just go over that one more time, especially around the edge here. All right, and then on the wall, we need to add a shadow for this wreath going in this direction. All right. And then the presents on the floor. Where did I have those? Oh, and I haven't done anything for the Santa hat yet, really, either. So let's do a shadow and highlights on that. We'll clip those. Clip them. Shadow. Okay, shadow. We want to have it kind of in the center of the hat. And then the highlights of it will be on the outer part of it. Okay, and then let's do some highlights on there. So it'll be more on the outer. Oop, I did not put that to overlay again. Shadows, we're gonna multiply. Overlay for the highlights. So we're just gonna paint those highlights on the edge of this hat here. Okay, kind of like that. And I feel like there was something. I'm gonna put a curves layer on this baby. There's just something off about it still. So let's just see if we can add a bit more of a curves on her. Maybe right about there. Looks a bit better. Bring the highlights up. I just want to see. I think this one needs to be off there. Just add a bit more curves in there. Okay, I'm going to just very lightly paint it off this side of her. that curves very lightly. I just have the brush at 5%. Okay, I think that's looking a little better. So it just needed like slightly more contrast. I think I made her a little too like, what's it called, like she just had like no contrast to her hardly ever, or hardly at all. So she just needed just a little bit more so that she's matching the hippo a little bit better and everything else. Okay, so I want to find those presents in the front. Foreground presents, there they are right there. Let's put the baby in her own folder. Control G, baby, foreground presents. On the whole layer, I'm going to add a shadow layer just on, right here. And we're gonna put this to multiply, and I'm just gonna paint a little bit of shadows just on this side of them. Okay, and same with this one, needs a bit more. So I have a very light brush at 5%, and I'm just building it up. Okay, we're gonna add one more layer on overlay. Call this highlights. And just around the edge of the gifts, we want to add the highlight from the door frame here. Okay. One more thing, I'm gonna go into the hippos here. For the shadows on the hippo, I'm just gonna add a little bit more shadow in the center of him, because I feel like everything's a little bit dark and he's not so much. So just in the middle, and I might just build up a little bit of these highlights again, a bit more. I'm gonna put the highlights at like 20, just to, oh, that's why I have it on the wrong color. Let me just go back here. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Okay, so let me just organize some of these layers here. So these are all, what's this layer? Oh, the lights, right. Lights. Okay, and I'm gonna put that all in a group. Santa hat, presents. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so now basically I have to go through and fix the sharpness of things, and I want to put some motion on this wreath here. So let's start with the street background. We need to add a blur on that. So we go filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and definitely not that much. Like, let's see what 5 looks like. That's good. Okay. Hardwood floors. And let's see what like 0.5 would look like. Oops, 0.5. Okay, let's just see what 1 is. Yeah, like 1 looks good because it's kind of matching up with the hippo's feet there a little bit. Okay, and the door and the wall. Let's see what 1% looks like. Okay. Cracks. These all need to be blurred quite a bit. Let me just see which one's this one. That's the door crack. Okay. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm gonna make this one a little bit more. Maybe like 1.5. So the reason I blur these things is just so that like everything looks like they belong together. Like, so if you look at the baby sharpness versus the hippo sharpness, like the hippo is just a little more sharp than she is. So we want to make sure that they're the same. Gaussian blur. And we'll hit OK there. Okay. Christmas decor is, because these ones are from Pixel Squid, they're going to be like super sharp. So on this one, we're going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And well, because it's on the wall, we will make it a little more blurred. And then also, I want to make a copy of it. And on the copy, I'm actually going to add, I'm going to delete this on the copy. And then we're going to go filter, blur, motion blur, and because we want it to look like the hippo knocked it. So right about there is good. And then we're going to put a layer mask on it and just kind of paint it in certain areas. Not that much. Yeah, we'll keep it around 25. And we're just kind of put that motion blur on some of it. So like that. And then let's look at the Christmas tree. Gaussian blur. Yep. And same with the angel. So when I flatten this, I'm gonna clean up that corner right there that I noticed is just a little off. Okay, and hippo. So because the hippo is a little sharper than, like, especially his face, it's like super sharp. We're gonna just blur him up a little bit as well. Close that. Okay, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm only gonna put this at like 1%, not too much. Santa hat. Maybe we'll put the Santa hat 1.5. Presents. At 1. Okay, baby. I might actually sharpen her a little bit. Let's go to sharpen. I like to use unmask sharpen. Not that much, just like a little. Okay, there. And the foreground gifts, I think we've already blurred those. Yep. Okay. So I definitely want to add a little more shadow just underneath the baby here. And so I'm gonna just go back into here. We're gonna put this to 10, and I'm gonna make my brush really small. And I'm just gonna paint in a little more shadow underneath her here. Okay, I'm actually gonna add one more shadow layer to do this. Okay. Make my brush really small here.
Mommy,
Yeah, hun.
can you open this?
Sure, baby. Oh, what did you do to it?
I don't know. I dropped it on the floor and it looked like that.
Oh my god. You smushed it. Okay. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Careful not to spill. She's trying to open the orange juice container and I guess she dropped it and it was all smushed. Let me just take a couple of steps back there. Okay, I'm just gonna lower that opacity a little. Yeah, we needed that layer. Okay. Now, on these GIFs, they're looking still like they're floating a little bit, so let's go to the presence layer, and we're gonna, where did I add a shadow? No, that's that. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna use this layer. Whoops. I might add a little more under this foot just because there's like a bit of a separation between the two. So there we go. It's better. Okay, like that. And then, yeah, it definitely needs like some more shadows here on this part. They just look like they're floating. So ground them a little bit by adding a shadow just at the base of all these GIFs here. Okay, I'm just gonna make my brush a bit smaller. It a little bit better here. All right, that is better. And let's add one highlight layer. I think this is another shadow. So this needs to be on overlay. And with the white brush, we're just gonna paint some of these corners here. Oh, that's way too bright on that baby. Okay. Put this at like 2. Oh, it's because I have that on linear dodge. That's why. Okay. Let's put this to 5. All right. That took some effort, but I think we finally got the baby looking more like she's meant to be there. There we go. Okay, we got all the blurring done. Now, let's check grain-wise. Yeah, like you can see, if you can look pretty close, you can see the grain on her. Oh, and I forgot to clean this up. Baby, let's clean up your selection. All right, so we need our brush to be about 80% and a hard brush. Yeah. Okay, I made that brush too big. So let's just clean up her selection here. Oop. All right. So we need to add grain because the baby has lots of grain. So let's add on these front gifts. Filter, noise, add noise. And we're gonna just add like 5 probably. Yeah. Okay, and filter, add noise. Okay. Those are on the 2 foreground gifts. Presence. Let's just zoom in here. filter, noise, add noise. Let's do this at 3. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. Santa hat. Yeah, that like has no noise at all. So filter. Oops, I guess I gotta be on the layer. Filter, add noise, Hippo, filter, cancel, filter, add noise. I don't even need to look at these ones because they are from Pixel Squid, so they definitely are going to need noise. Stretch my back out a little bit here. The cracks. I don't think the cracks are really going to need it. Let's look at the wall. Yes, the wall definitely does. Filter, add noise. Hardwood floor. Let's look at you. Yes. Filter, hardwood floor, I need to be on the layer, add noise, and the street, and then, ooh, let's not do that. Okay, so now I can flatten this. And I need to adjust that corner. So I'm just gonna take my like stamp tool and copy it. Alt. Okay, there we go. And once I get like all the color adjustments and stuff done, I like to use some of my all-in-one stuff. So I'm gonna maybe add, let's see what that one does. And I'm just gonna lower this opacity to like 10. So it's just kind of warming everything up a little. And then let's go to the creamy foundation. And I just want to paint this over her highlights of her skin. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. We need the brush. Okay. And I'm going to fix my brush. I forgot to, we want to have it at a very soft brush. And we're just going to paint this on her highlights of her face. And her arms. And hopefully it'll just help emphasize the highlights. Oh, and let's just go back to the paint this part out. I'm silly and I painted over the background. Okay. Okay, and let's add the Painterly vignette. And I like to just make my brush really big for this. Oh, oops, I'm on the wrong color. I need to be on the white. So we'll just vignette this, and then I like to just kind of lower the opacity to where I think it looks good. And then let's do our artistic dodge. And I'm gonna go back in here. I don't really like her arm right there. But we're gonna try to emphasize, oh, gosh darn it. Having troubles with that. Alright, let's just go into her little features here. Whoops, what did I just push? I have no idea what that was. Okay, just kind of lower this down a little. Okay, and let's add some highlights on other things. Just kind of emphasize those highlights. And I'm just gonna do the whole center a little bit there. Yeah, I don't really feel like we need to do any burning because I've got everything's looking kind of dark, so I'll just leave it how it is, and then we're going to add our oil paint finish. And I actually want the opacity, I want it to be even more. Usually I only have this at 50%, but I'm going to make it bigger this time. And the paint effect I like to paint off of, features, like eyes, and so we're gonna paint those off of her eyes. So I'm gonna keep the features sharp. Same with this guy's eye and his mouth. I'm almost done, okay?
Like how many more minutes?
I'm like right at the end. Like 5 minutes?
Okay, because my show turned off.
Okay, I'll fix it in a second, okay?
What?
Okay, it's been a second. Okay, and after we do that, I'm going to do one of my mats. Let's do the film mat. And we'll put it to 10%. And I'm just gonna do maybe we want that more than 10%. Let's try 20. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And I feel like we need a little bit of warmth here. So let's, ooh, I like that actually. Yeah, definitely needed some warmth. So we'll flatten that. And let's see what does the warm sunburst do? Let's go into here. I want to move it. I'm going to make it smaller and move it. Okay, and then I want to move it to more here. And we want to make it even more smaller. What if we just turn the opacity down? What does that do? Yeah, I don't think we need that. The warmth was good enough. And we already added the film mat. We added that. So let's, I like to sharpen it again after adding the oil paint, because then it just kind of like makes it even more emphasis on it.
Mommy, I found all of this in Emma's room. Behind her door.
Okay, and that looks good there. Flatten that, and then I like to add light noise over everything. And I'm gonna just turn this down to 30. Okay, and that's done. So let's just take a little picture and we'll see what we started with today. So that's what we started with today. This is where we ended today. I'm happy with it. I mean, yeah, I'm happy with it. It's cute. It's a little touch and go with the shadow and highlight on the baby, but I really think it turned out cute. So that's the end of I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. I'm kind of wondering if I should have added snow on the outside. Maybe they live in California and not Calgary. All right, anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for sitting through 3 sittings of this photo, as well as putting up with me having to change this time this week. So yeah, thanks for understanding and thanks for being here, part of the patron, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!